listening to the Sportz Hive podcast.
Oh, Wade, what a play! Wow.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the Sportz Hive podcast, where we provide you with all the buzz in the sports world. I am Jacob Hyde, and alongside of me is Luke Hoffman. And today is Monday, February 2020, and we have a good show for you guys today. We are going to be joined once again by our good friend Charlie Gutierrez, and we will be discussing the crazy season in college basketball, a little pinch of NBA, and a little pinch of some MLB news that came out yesterday. And to wrap up, it'll be our daily pick segment like always. So without further ado, let's get it started. So Charlie, the first thing I want to ask you is just how you're doing today. How is your Monday going so far?
My Monday's going pretty well. You know, I got one class. Yeah, that's pretty chill day.
All right, so the first thing I want to talk to you about is the weekend of college basketball. And if you've watched college basketball all this year, it has been crazy all year. And I think the best thing that happened this weekend in all of sports is obviously the Duke-North Carolina game that happened Saturday night. It's the most heated rivalry, I think, in college basketball. It tops every other rivalry in the game. And it dates all the way back to their first meeting in 1920. And North Carolina leads the whole series, 138 wins, and then Duke has 111. So UNC has the edge in that aspect, but on Saturday night, Duke came out with an incredible buzzer beater win in overtime in Chapel Hill. So what are your overall thoughts on Saturday night's game?
Yeah, that choke on Saturday night, that was just the epitome of UNC season. It's been a tough year for them. Obviously, I think they're going to bounce back. You know, Roy Williams is a great coach. They're going to have great recruiting classes coming in. It's just a tough season. Every program has them. But, you know, Duke showed a lot of heart. They showed that, you know, they have a lot of toughness. They can come back. They have grit. So, overall, it was a good game. And it showed a lot about what kind of team Duke is down the line.
Yeah, and like you said, it's been a tough year for UNC. Obviously, Cole Anthony got hurt back in December, and he just came back a couple of games ago. And so he's just getting back in his rhythm, and he's averaging, going into the Duke game, his last two games before that, he was averaging 21 points a game going into that rivalry game. And but yeah, Duke, it just showed how good of a team Duke is that they can come back like that. They played pretty bad in the first half. I saw a lot of people saying, "Oh, this isn't a championship caliber team that's playing right now," because it looked like UNC was the better team in the first half and in the second half, basically. But Duke put on those afterburners and got to them and hit a buzzer beater. Wendell Moore hit a buzzer beater in overtime to win. So
How
switching
far do you
gears
think?
to
How far do you think Duke can go in the tournament?
I think they can make it to the Final Four if they get a good seeding. I think they might be able to get pushed up to a 1 seed, but I think the best 2 seed is the best option for them. They'll get a 2 seed, and then if they get a good portion of the bracket, I think they can get it to the Final Four. I think a lot of teams in the country right now can play along with Duke and beat them. It's not like one team is better than another. And I'll get to a team that's better than every other team right now later in this discussion. But next, I want to switch gears to the SEC. And on Saturday, 3 teams atop of the SEC, Kentucky, LSU, and Auburn, all played Saturday afternoon. And LSU and Auburn played against each other. And LSU took down Auburn in the jungle. And Kentucky obviously beat Tennessee. So now there is a 3-way tie across the top of the SEC. So, Charlie, who do you think will come out of this and win at the end of the year?
I think Auburn. Auburn's gonna come out. They're hot. Um, they're coming off a ride last year that ended abruptly in the tournament, and they're motivated, and I think they're gonna finish out strong. They're gonna win. I think they're gonna win the conference, and then I think they're gonna win the tournament too. Not they're gonna win the SEC tournament, not the NCAA tournament, but I think they can go far in the actual tournament though.
Yeah, last year LSU obviously took the regular season title in Auburn. That's when their streak started. They made a run in the SEC tournament and won that, and then obviously made a run in the NCAA tournament. And Auburn finished fourth last year in the conference, and now is fighting for an SEC regular season title, which I honestly didn't think was going to happen. I thought they were going to be like towards the top, but my preseason prediction was Florida, which is a whole nother topic that I could talk about, but that's not going to be today. So switching gears again to another conference, the Pac-12 conference, and late Saturday night games usually happen with the Pac-12. And the two games that I want to talk about are Oregon versus Oregon State and UCLA versus Arizona. And both Oregon State and UCLA got the upsets against their ranked opponents. So, Charlie, overall, what is happening with the Pac-12? I know Washington, people were high on them this year, and they had a good non-conference schedule, and they won a lot of those games. But then going into conference, they're 2-8 in the Pac-12. So, just what is happening with the Pac-12?
The Pac-12, it's a weird conference to be honest. It's a really weird conference because there are good teams, and it's very there's a fine line between the good teams and the bad teams. And Washington's weird because they started off strong, but now they're kind of fizzling out. I think Oregon could make a deep run. I think Arizona would get bounced early in the tournament, but I don't really see a lot of great teams in the Pac-12 outside of those two teams.
Well, I disagree with you there. I think Colorado is the best team in the Pac-12. Obviously, right now they're sitting at the top of the conference standings. But I think Colorado, Oregon, and those two teams will definitely, and Arizona could make a run, but I think they'll get bounced pretty early, like you said. But I think the two teams in the Pac-12 that could make a run is Colorado and Oregon. So the last thing I want to talk to you about, Charlie, today is on Saturday afternoon, the top 16 seeds were announced by the NCAA committee, and without a doubt, Baylor unanimously got overall number one seed. They're not like it. Like I said earlier, it's not, no one team is like dominantly better than another. Where like if they played each other, if like the 1 and 2 team played each other, like the number one team wouldn't win by like 30 points. Like last year, it happened where like you could say Duke was they were like the best team in the country, but now you can't say that this year because you can see that the number one ranking in the regular season has lost like 6 or 7 times already this year. But unanimously, the way the Baylor season has been going in their resume, I think unanimously it is a great choice that they are the number one overall seed.
Yeah, definitely.
And so if you saw the list, I don't know if you did, but if you saw the list of the top 16 seeds, do you agree with how they are listed out?
No, definitely not. I think Michigan State and Butler are too high, in my opinion. I personally would switch Seton Hall and West Virginia, the 3 and 2 seeds. I would switch them out. But other than that, the 1 seeds are fine. San Diego State, it's still a mystery to me. They have the big Creighton, they beat Iowa, but I still don't really know what kind of team they are. They're undefeated, obviously. I think all that hype will kind of get to them in the tournament, which might lead to an early exit for them. But other than that, I think all the seeds are pretty good, pretty solid.
Yeah, and you talked about Butler being ranked too high. Talking about Butler, they had a game today against Marquette. Marquette won by a pretty big margin. So you being a Marquette fan, how did you like that game today?
It was a great game. National Marquette Day is always, it should have been on a Saturday, but that's another story. Marquette's a weird team too. They can turn on at times. Other times, it just seems like they're always like they're out of sorts. So it's gonna be fun watching the Big East tournament, see who comes out on top of that. I think the winner of the Big East tournament will go the farthest of any Big East team in the NCAA tournament.
All right, so that just about wraps up Charlie Gutierrez and my talk with college basketball, and he will stick with us with the rest of the episode. And I will be joined back with my co-host Luke Hoffman as we move on to the NBA. Right now, we're going to be talking next about the Toronto Raptors and the winning streak they are on. They extended their winning streak to 14 games last night. They're on a roll, and so my only question to both Charlie and Lucas, I'll ask Charlie first. But my only question to you about this Toronto Raptors team is, are they the only real threat to the Bucks in the East?
To me, this isn't being biased or anything because obviously I'm a Bucks fan, but there really is no threat to the Bucks in the East. The Raptors might be the closest thing to the threat. Yeah, I would say that, but I still don't see them as being a legitimate threat to beating the Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals if it gets to that point.
And Luke, same question. Do you think the Raptors, on the way they're playing right now, into the All-Star break on their 14-game win streak, are they the only legitimate threat to the Bucks getting to the finals?
I'd say the same exact thing as Charlie. There is no threat. Toronto and Miami are the only teams that might be, but in my opinion, there's only six. I think there's only six guys in the league that you can win a championship as their top player, and I think the only player in the East that has that is Giannis right now. I just told Kobe in the last episode when we were talking, it's really a three-team league this year, in my opinion. It's Milwaukee and the LA teams, so that's what I got on this. And I told you, I know we kind of disagreed earlier about Pascal Siakam. I said we were talking about the most improved player, and I said he could be the first guy to repeat ever in that award. I don't think he will, but we're seeing how great he is this year, having no Kawhi and averaging like 27 points or something, leading his team to a 14-game win streak. So it is incredible, but they can't beat the Bucks in the playoffs.
Yeah, the Bucks were good last year too, and they obviously had Kawhi too. Obviously, the Raptors had Kawhi last year going into the Eastern Conference Finals through the playoffs, and that's why they won. That's not why they won against the Bucks, but it was a whole team effort.
The guys in the league that can win you a title as your number one is Giannis, Braun, Kawhi, and it's almost after that. There's not many. Curry and KD.
Yeah,
and they're out. So that's why it's really a three-team league.
Yeah, and has the potential to lead the Raptors to that kind of run, but in my opinion, I do not think. He's
older than Giannis. So I don't know how much more potential he has, really. He has potential to be really good. I think he can be a number two on a title team just like he was last year. But being a number one, I don't know. I don't see that ever, really.
Yeah, if I were to put together a list of threats for the Bucks in the East, it would probably be, like you said, the Raptors, the Heat, and maybe the Celtics. With
only the 76ers at home. That's the only time.
Yeah, the 76ers are going to get bounced first round if they get a low seed because they're going to have to play 4 road games.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it looks like not just us, but a lot of the people think that the Bucks are going to have an easy road to the finals this year, the way they are playing.
Especially Chris Middleton, he's stepping up,
Yeah, he's been a baller, and he obviously
you already know my rant the other episode.
Yeah, we heard Luke talk about day after the Super Bowl, our episode. He was ranting about Chris Middleton, and so I think the Bucks have an easy road to the finals this year, and they'll obviously play, I think, one of the LA teams, either the Clippers or the Lakers. So if we have nothing else to say about the Toronto Raptors and their 14-game win streak, we are going to move on to the last topic of the NBA for today's show. And we I talked about with Carrick a couple episodes ago about the refs being awful in the college game. And now it is moving up to the professional level. And the Utah versus Portland game a couple days ago, Damian Lillard went up for a layup, and Rudy Gobert it was an obvious goaltend, and the refs did not see it. And obviously, it made Utah win the game. And Damian Lillard was not happy. He went on Twitter. I don't know exactly what he said, but I saw he did go on Twitter and
Said a lot.
he was going after Donovan Mitchell. And so, but yeah, like I said, the refs in the college game are awful this year, and now it's moving up to the professional level. So, why does this hurt the game? Not only on the professional level, but now it's moving on down to the college level. Why do the refs ruin the game of basketball?
You want to take that one first, Luke?
All right. I mean, they're just awful all year. We're talking about a team that's fighting for a playoff spot in Portland, and I think they're only a couple games out, and they need every game they can get. And, I mean, that was just a clear call, and that would have put them in overtime. But it's not just that game. They need to change that rule that you can't reverse a no call, because if they call the timeout, they should be able to look at that last play and be able to reverse that. Because, I mean, there's just no reason for stuff like that in this game. This happened a couple years ago in the Milwaukee-Boston playoff series in the first round when it was Game 7. Al Horford was clearly after the shot clock buzzer, and they couldn't return it. They couldn't replay it because it was a no call, so they couldn't replay that. And it was a decisive shot in the Game 7. I mean, this is just – they can't have stuff like this happening.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, you say – yeah, they should be able to go to the monitor and recheck what happened and reverse the call. But that is another problem that I've heard in the college game is the refs always going to the monitor, and it takes them forever and ever and ever to make a decision and try to make a call.
Yeah, but if it's a play like this where it's if it's in the last 30 seconds, I think you have to do that. If the coach wants to do it.
Yeah, I think if it's like a game-deciding play or something
especially
that's big
a team fighting for a playoff spot or a team in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think. And go ahead, Charlie.
There should be kind of like a points limit too, because they look at in the NCAA, they look at plays, when there are blowouts happening, and like they'll have no consequences on the game.
Yeah,
like they're just
NBA too,
completely useless. So I think there should be like a points thing. Like if you're up by a certain amount, there should be no reviews. Yeah.
That's one of the worst calls I've ever seen, ever. And the fact that they doubled down on it and said, "Oh, this was a clear no call." It's obvious. I mean, come on now.
Yeah, and obviously Damian Lillard spoke his mind after the game, and he said exactly what Luke said. He said exactly what Luke said. I'm playing for a playoff. We're playing for a playoff spot. You just can't make those calls. And as we talked about the replay monitor, I think in the middle of the game, it really doesn't matter. I think they only should go to the monitor if it's like within the last 2 or 3 minutes of a game and it's like a 2 or 3 point game and it's going to change the outcome. It could change the outcome of the game that way. But I think if it's
they did have that one controversy earlier in the year where James Harden dunked the ball, but it looked like it was a miss and ended up costing them that game because they didn't count it. But
yeah, that's exactly what I think should happen. But if it's in say it's in a college game and it's the first 2 minutes in the first half and they have to go to the monitor to make a call, there's no need for that. And they sit there for 20 minutes anyway, trying to make a call, and there's no point in it. So I think we all agree that the refs on both levels in basketball have been pretty. Yeah, on all levels, basically, have been pretty bad this year, and I think they need to change some rules in each level to make the refs more successful in what they do and not have the fans hate them, basically. I mean, they are human, but I mean, they can make mistakes. But
Still.
that's like everybody in America can have made that call against
Yeah.
Utah and Portland. So if you guys have no other comments about any NBA news, we want to move on to our last full topic of the day, and that is it broke yesterday that the Joc Pederson trade fell through. So I don't know any news about this. I'll hand it over to Luke. I don't know who was going after him or what the talks were. So Luke, can you explain to everyone what was happening with Joc Pederson?
Yeah, this was in the aftermath of the Mookie Betts trade. They were going to be trading Joc Pederson to the Angels along with Ross Link for Luis Rengifo from the Angels, and this trade fell through as I think the Angels didn't like that they were taking so much time trying to figure out that Mookie Betts trade. I was talking to Kobe about this trade last episode, and I said I liked it for the Angels because they were pairing a certified power bat in Joc Pederson with their other stars like Mike Trout, Anthony Rendon, and Shohei Ohtani. And I really like the Angels going into the next year, but this trade definitely, I mean, I still like the Angels next year being decent, but this trade was a big factor in my love for them for next year.
And obviously, it would have made a big impact for the Angels. So, where would you have placed them if they were to get Joc Pederson?
I had them pretty high, at least getting a wild card spot next year.
And that is pretty big because they haven't been really in any playoff talks for a while. So
Yeah.
I mean, they have Mike Trout, and that's why Mike Trout
Wasting
people-
most of Mike Trout's career.
Yeah, he's probably the best player in the MLB. He's sitting on a team that really doesn't have any
Played
playoff.
3 playoff games in his career in
So,
9 years.
Yeah. So I feel for Trout in Los Angeles. So that about does it for our debate portion of our episode. And lastly, we always do our daily pick segment, and we go through games in the NBA and the NCAA. So to start, our first game in the NBA is going to be the Timberwolves at the Toronto Raptors, and obviously the Raptors are running on a 14-game win streak. It's happening tonight at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. It's the new look Timberwolves, but I'm still going to take the Raptors at home.
Yeah, got Raptors win their 15th in a row.
Can I hop in this too?
Yes, you can. Go ahead, bud.
I'd say Toronto as well. Minnesota had a great win against LA, but especially because this game is at Toronto, I just think Pascal is going to lead them on top.
And our next game is the Sacramento Kings at the Milwaukee Bucks. I will take the Bucks pretty easily, and this game is happening Monday tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Time.
Bucks next.
Bucks.
All right, the third game we have is the Utah Jazz at the Dallas Mavericks, and that game is happening tonight at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I will take the Jazz on the road.
Going Jazz.
I agree. Jazz.
All right, the fourth game in our NBA picks is the Phoenix Suns at the Los Angeles Lakers, and that game is happening tonight at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Surprisingly, I will take the Phoenix Suns in the upset, man.
I'm going to go Lakers.
I'll go Lakers as well.
I predicted I'm taking the Suns, but I predicted that the Suns were going to make the playoffs. I watched the draft last year and how they got Cam Johnson, or they traded up for Cam Johnson. I think it was too early for him, but they got a steal in him. And then they obviously got Virginia point guard. The name's not coming to me at the top of my head. Ty Jerome.
Ty Jerome.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ty Jerome. Yep. And I knew. And then they obviously traded for a couple players later that night. I think in that week they traded, or they got some extra players that were key. And early in the year they looked good. They were sitting up close to the top of Western Conference. I mean, they're 5 or 6 games out right now, but I honestly, people probably still thought they were going to be sitting at the bottom of the West with like no playoff potential, but they're only like 5 or 6 games going into the All-Star break. So I'm taking the Suns in that upset tonight. And so our second to last game is the Los Angeles Clippers at the Philadelphia 76ers, and that game is happening tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and I will take the Clippers on the road.
I'm going to go 76ers at home. They're really tough in Wells Fargo Center. I think they only lost 2 games this year, maybe 3, so I'm going to go with 76ers.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Philly. They're basically the Purdue of the NBA. They're unstoppable at home, so I'm gonna go with 76ers also.
All right, and our last game in the NBA is the Celtics at the Rockets, and that game is happening tomorrow night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And Rockets with the small ball, they did beat the Lakers, but
And they got
I don't
murdered by
know.
the Sun.
Yeah, so I'm gonna take the Celtics in this one, pretty easy.
I'm going to go with the Rockets just because I don't think the Celtics have that enough size. I mean, not enough size, but they don't have the size
I'm gonna
to,
go.
they don't have the size like the Lakers or whatever. So I'm going to go Rockets.
Once again, I agree with Luke. I'm gonna go with the Rockets.
All right, you guys are going against me in this episode. It'll be fun to see if how these picks go out, and we are going to move on to the college basketball picks. And our first game is Florida State versus Duke, and that game is happening tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I will take Duke in Cameron Indoor.
I'm going to go Duke.
Duke.
Next game is the Baylor Bears versus Texas Longhorns, and I will take. And that game is happening tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. I will take the Bears on the road.
I'm going to go Texas. Oh, no, Baylor,
I'm
sorry.
going-
I was looking somewhere else. I didn't hear you. Baylor.
I'm gonna go with the Baylor Bears on this one.
All right. And obviously Charlie just brought up Purdue in the NBA game. So this game, Penn State versus Purdue. This game is happening tomorrow night at 6:30 Eastern Time. And I will take Purdue at home. They are unstoppable at home. They beat Michigan State by 20 plus. They beat Virginia by 20 plus. They beat Wisconsin by 20 plus. And they just beat somebody. I don't know who exactly off the top of their head. They just beat somebody. Iowa,
They put 68 in the first half.
Yeah, the ranked Iowa Hawkeyes. They beat it. They took down Luka Garza and the Iowa Hawkeyes at home by like 30 plus. So I will take the Purdue Boilermakers to take down Lamar Stevens at Penn State.
We're all just messing up, man. Whatever. I'm going to go Purdue.
Penn State's the ranked team, but I agree with Jacob. Purdue at home is just a different team completely. Purdue.
I was going to say,
I'm
Lamar
gonna stop
Jackson's
right
there.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop right there. Luke, what was I messed up a name last episode. I forgot who I said. I was talking about James Wiseman, but I said
Oh, you said Anthony Wiseman.
I said Anthony Wiseman
Edwards
instead of James Wiseman.
combined with
So I messed up in 2 episodes, 2 straight episodes. I messed up names, so don't hate me on that. But our next game in the college basketball world is the Kentucky Wildcats versus Vanderbilt, and that game is happening Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And I will take the Wildcats on the road.
Wildcats.
Kentucky.
All right, and our second to last game is Atlantic 10 battle, and it is Rhode Island versus Dayton, and that game is happening tomorrow night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I will take Obi Toppin in the Flyers at home.
I'm going to go Dayton.
Yeah, I agree. Obi Toppin and Dayton.
All right, and lastly, but not least, the Michigan State Spartans versus the Illinois Fighting Illini. Big Ten matchup happening Tuesday night, tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Illinois is obviously they They're coming off of a loss. And Michigan State is also. So both are going to be looking to bounce back and get some big wins. So I think this one's tough. I will take Illinois at home since they're at home. I think the crowd will get into it, and I think they'll take down Cassius Winston and Sparks.
Michigan State.
I agree with Luke. Both teams are reeling. They need a win. So I'm gonna go with the better coach, which is obviously Tom Izzo. So I think him and Cassius Winston are gonna lead them to the win.
All right, so that wraps up our daily pick segment, and we will keep you guys updated on our records. We will go back and see what our records are like, and we will update you guys on those. So that just about wraps it up for this episode today. Luke and I would like to thank you guys for listening in to the Sportz Hive podcast. We will be releasing episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time on YouTube and the Anchor app. So please follow our social media in the description below for more content. From all of us here at the Sportz Hive podcast, we hope you guys enjoy the rest of your spectacular Monday, and we hope to see you guys next time right here on the Sportz Hive podcast.